What's going on, guys? PXCam20 back in with a brand new video, and I'd like to welcome you guys to the very first FIA race that we had here for the brand new season on GT Sport. And as you guys can see, we are starting in our Ferrari 458, our pink and purple Ferrari that was made by Strike Eagle. So thank you so much, Strike Eagle, for providing us with this amazing livery. And we are racing with the Group 3 cars around Interlagos in Brazil. So it's going to be a really interesting race, a lot of different combinations, a lot of strategies that can be played here, and it's just meant for some really great racing. And I actually enjoyed this first round that we had here, and so we're just going to jump right into it. Hope you guys enjoy. So as we jump into qualifying, we're going to see what we can do here, as I wasn't feeling too optimistic about our qualifying just because I really couldn't get it into the low 29s, which is going to be a really great time if you can get it there. But as we cross the start finish line for our first lap, we get a 130.4, so only good enough to get us into a 9th place position as we try to go again, but it just decided to exit out here. So only enough time to do one qualifying lap, as the second lap just wasn't enough time to get it into the pits and switch off tires. And unfortunately, that's where we're going to start off, and that is in 9th. So jumping into the intro, the strategy for this race was very interesting because we had to use all three compounds, the softs, the mediums, and the hards. And so because of how GT Sport had fixed and updated the length of the pit road, it is only going to be a 2-stop race regardless of what you decide to use on tires. But what we decided to do is that we're going to just use the slowest tires first, and then go to the second slowest, which is the mediums, and then go to the softs on our final stint, and hope that we can come home with a great finish, and if not, try to go for a podium. So let's see what we can do here as we jump into the race. As we get our rolling start now, we get our 3, 2, 1, and away we go, as we are starting right behind Garage Beers. It's just staying in behind him as we cross the start finish line in the slipstream. We actually get a really great start here as we go onto the inside of Garage Beers, but just decide to back out as just a little too early to go for any type of overtaking maneuver. But as we come out of the Senna S's here off of turn number 2, we just get a little bit of wheel spin as the tires were super cold, especially because we were on the hard, so we just had no rear grip. And in doing so, that allowed Ikas to get a really great run off of turn number 3. He's got the inside going to turn number 4, and I just allowed him to get right ahead of us, as I just did not want to fight with anybody. We're on the slowest compound tires, so the best thing we can do right now is try to just stay with these guys, because somebody else up ahead might be on a slower compound tires, and we can kind of get into this train right here, use the slipstream to keep up with these guys. And once these guys come in for softer compounds, we can switch off to a softer compound as well, or if they have to switch off to a harder compound, we could take advantage of that. But as you can see, things are starting to get a little bit crazy here, as everything is just getting backed up, as one of the cars up ahead, which I believe is the Mazda, is just holding everybody up, and we kind of have nowhere to go, as we just kind of make contact with each other, just because really there was no place to go in the second sector, and things just clogged up really quickly. So you just have really no reaction time, just kind of make a little bit of contact with the cars up ahead. But luckily, due to the penalty system being nice and fixed, we aren't getting penalties. But as we come out of turn number 4, we're on lap number 2, and I'm just kind of keeping my distance from this guy up ahead, as we have Loco Pepe right ahead of us. And I'm going to tell you guys a quick little story between us and Loco Pepe. So this was our 3rd attempt on this race here, as we jump into the first race that we had. And we were trying to go onto the inside of Loco Pepe here on turn number 4. And we got hit from behind, go straight into his side, and I don't think he really appreciated that, but it really wasn't my fault. I just got hit from behind and just kind of had nowhere to go. So I decided to try to go for a move on the inside of Loco Pepe on lap number 19, and he goes for one of the latest moves I've seen in a very long time. And so I don't think he was appreciative of that. So he actually tried to take us out there, and you can see how much it actually moved our car. So that was the story between us on the first race. Now this is the second race here, as me and him are fighting for position number 15 on the 4th lap. So I decided to go into the inside. He blocks, but he just defends so much that it frustrated me already, because I know that he made a very late move on the race prior. So in doing all that built up my frustration here, as we're on lap number 16 here, and going for 13th place on him. I just decided to go for the smallest gap that was available there, and closed up really quick. I really did not have any patience with him, and I just kind of nudged him out of the way. Actually, I didn't kind of nudge him out of the way. I did nudge him out of the way, and he did not appreciate that, as he did bump me into going into turn number 4. But not only that, once we head into turn number 4 and 5, you can see that he just decides to push me off. We get onto that green stuff, didn't let me back onto the track, and spins us out. So an eye for an eye there. I kind of understand why he did that, just because we got frustrated with him and pushed him out. But I thought at that point it was over between us two, and we can get along and just continue on racing. But a little bit later on race number 2, we actually caught back up to him, surprisingly, and we were able to get a really great run on the final corner. And I thought we were okay here, but then all of a sudden he decided to just push us onto the inside, take us out, and go for a really boneheaded, cowardly move right there of just taking us out. I could understand taking us out the first time. I know he was frustrated because we just went for the lunge of the century and just pushed him out of the way. But like I said, once he took us out on the first time, I thought things were nice and clean with us. I thought, you know, we got our frustration out of the way. Let's just continue on racing and try to at least get to the end of the race without hitting each other. But he decided to take me out for the second time on the second race, and after that part, I just lost so much respect for him. And so that was one of the reasons why I was just trying to keep my distance away from him on this third race, because I just did not want him to ruin our race. It was just so easy for him to just ruin our race and not get any repercussions of getting no penalties just because of the penalty system. And so when we get around him, or if we go side by side with him, I'm definitely going to keep my distance, and hopefully we had buried the hatchet, and we don't have to go through any more drama between us two. But as we jump in a little further into the race here, we are on lap number 3, and again we are stuck right behind this train up ahead, as the train is now starting to get a little bit more exciting here, as cars are starting to bounce side by side into turn number 1. And so things get a little bit backed up here as the Mazda makes contact with the Chevy up ahead, and we try to go on the inside, but once I got onto the inside, I hit that rumble strip, and it just immediately loosened up the car. We almost kicked out garage beers, and luckily we were able to hang it together, but we do get overtaken by the Aston Martin on the inside of Jose, and because we got pushed out a little bit wide, we actually lose another position to GT Max Thanatos. And that fight for 11th place, we actually get pushed down all the way into 14th, as Jose misses braking point completely. And we're going to capitalize on his mistake as we try to go onto the inside of him into this right corner. And in doing so, we're able to make the overtake, and we are promoted back into 13th place. So a lot of excitement going on here, and it's only lap number 4. There's still about 15-16 laps to go as we jump into lap number 6. We're just following this train, not abusing the tires too much, as the Ferrari 458 has the tendency to lose a lot of tire grip, but it loses the tire grip in the rear. So if we can put all the brake balance to the front and just drive on the exit of the corners nice and easy, slowly get onto the acceleration, not just slam the throttle, I think we should be all right with saving the rear tires. But again, we are on the hards, and I'm not sure where these guys are at up ahead, because it looks like their tire wear is abruptly coming into play, as you can see how slow they are going, and we still were doing all right. We were actually running some pretty competitive lap times, even though we're 6 laps into our stint. So coming into the straight right here, you can see a lot of cars decided to come into the pits, and you can see the different strategies that were going on here. As a couple of people decided to go with the mediums, a few with the softs, and I think I saw 1 or 2 using the hards. So the fact that some of these guys were using medium and soft compound tires, that's going to be very beneficial towards us, because we don't have to use those faster compound tires until our next stint and the final stint. So as we come into lap number 7, I think this is going to be the lap that we actually come into the pits, because you can see right here that we are struggling with these tires, and we actually get overtaken by Roman off of turn number 4, as he had a lot better of grip than us. So we're just fine with him side by side. We're just going to hold our position, as we were trying to stay in 6th place. And so at this point, I'm just pushing the car as much as I could without spinning out. And it was a very difficult task to do here, because the car just wanted to spin out every single exit of the corner on this lap. So we decided enough is enough. We're going to come into the pits, switch off from the hards, and go onto the mediums. And so Again, it's only going to be a 2-stopper just because of how long these pits are. So I just speeded up there, but in actuality, it's about 40 seconds to complete a pit stop. So every single time you come in, you lose 40 seconds on the track. So in total, 80 seconds. And so it's not worth going in for a third time. If you try going in for a third time, it's just adding another 40 seconds. And that can definitely ruin your race here. But off of the exit, we go into turn number 4, nice and easy, as we were all kind of inside of each other, which was weird, but we were able to kind of unstuck ourselves, and we were able to actually get in a position as we made a position up on garage beers. But then Roman, although he came behind us, he was actually able to get ahead of us coming off of pit lane, and so now we're just following along right behind these guys. And whoever's using a harder compound, which is a hards, or using the mediums, we're gonna see if we can try to capitalize on them and abuse these medium tires up until lap number 14, I believe, is gonna be the next time we come into the pits. So into sector number 2, as we go into turn number 6 and 7, you see that the 2 cars up ahead of the Porsche and the Chevy are fighting side by side really hard with each other, and so that slowed them down, and that allowed us to catch up to Ekis. So we tried to go for a move on the outside as we're going side by side with Ekis, and going to his right-hander, we should be able to brake later than him and kind of etch him out here, and we are able to do so here as we are able to go up into 10th place. So we're really taking some good benefits with these medium tires. All we have to do now is just get around this Porsche, and maybe we can get some clean open track. But off of this corner, the Porsche just goes off wide, gets back onto the track, goes right in front of us, slams into our front, and unfortunately for the Porsche, it just took him out. But at this point, I was just waiting for that 2 or 4 second penalty for contact with another car, and it never came. So we never got a penalty for that move, as usually before they fixed the penalty, that would have been a 2 or 4 second penalty just for making contact with a car and having them spin out, even though it wasn't your fault. But we got very, very lucky there that although we made contact with the Porsche, it wasn't intentional. He just got loose on the exit, and we just were a victim of him getting loose and made contact with him. So we were able to continue on with our race with no penalty, and just try to catch back up to these guys up ahead, as a car actually had came into the pit, so that promoted us up into 8th place. So things are looking really, really well here. As you remember, in the beginning of the race, right before our second stint, or our first pit stop, we were running, I believe, in 13th, 14th position, and now we are catching ourselves in 8th place, making up a lot of time on the Hyundai and the Dodge Viper right ahead of us. So now on lap number 13, we have reached the back of GT Max, and we're just being very patient here because I want to get around them, but I want to get around them nice and clean without pushing them out of the way or anything like that. So we're just biding our time, and so whenever that moment arrives, we're going to try to take full advantage of it and go for the overtake. But unfortunately, that moment never did arrive because these guys actually ahead of us came into the pit. And so you can see the different types of strategy that were going on here. So a couple people were switching off to the hards, a couple people were on the mediums, and we're gonna switch off to maybe a set of hards or softs. So we decided to come in here as we were able to go an extra lap on the mediums, and you can see that we actually had to put fuel in this time. So we overfueled the car by about half a gallon there, or half a lap, I guess you could say, and we're just waiting to see where we come out here. As you can see, 4th, 5th, and 6th is right up ahead, and now switches back to 7th, and looks like we are coming out in 8th place. But this is going to be the very important part, to make sure that we don't have any traffic right ahead of us to catch up to these guys in 7th, 6th, and 5th. And luckily we really didn't have that much traffic. We only had these guys up ahead, and we could just go full on send mode as we were on the soft compound tires. So going down to the straight right here for the 15th time as we were heading into lap number 16. We did have another car come into the pits of ibuprofen, and he did have to switch off from his tires, so we get a free easy position here. But heading to turn number 1 and to turn number 2, we have Loco Pepe right ahead of us that gets very, very loose, and we were able to take full advantage of that, send it onto the inside, get away from him, and we are now promoted into 6th place. So things looking really, really great for us here, as we are in a great position. I believe the Nissan and the Hyundai right up ahead of us were actually on the hard compound tires, so we have better compound tires in them, and we actually have a lot fresher tires in them. So things are looking great on our side here. So if they can continue fighting and abusing their tires, we might be able to snatch away a 4th place position here, or maybe even a 3rd if we can catch up to that 3rd place guy within the next 2 or 3 laps. So in the second sector here, you can see that we gained a lot of time on the Nissan right ahead of us, and so we're just biding our time, making sure we can find a nice easy spot to overtake them. And I believe the best place was probably going to be turn number 1, or if not turn number 4, if we can get into the slipstream. So we're kind of setting ourselves up here to attempt to move on turn number 1 as we get a really great exit. But unfortunately, the Ferrari doesn't have the best straight line speed, so we're going to need a little bit of that slipstream from GT Max. And unfortunately, he's working with the Nissan right now, but he does go onto the inside, and cutting back onto the inside actually allows us to get into the slipstream, and we get a nice little toe here. Try to brake as late as we can compared to the Nissan, so we hold it off onto the inside, and we are able to complete the overtake. So awesome overtake we were able to do with the Nissan, nice and clean racing. And now we set our sights on the Hyundai right ahead of us, the GT Max. So we're just following right behind into turn number 4, and also keeping an eye on the radar just to make sure that the Nissan doesn't want to do any funny business and go in for an optimistic lunge where he shouldn't be. But luckily right here that we take a little peek onto the inside of GT Max, and that kind of killed our momentum there as the Nissan got very close to our rear bumper, but luckily he didn't take us out. And so it's still a 3-car battle here for 4th place. 3rd place is in our sights, but he is way too far up ahead to go challenge. So it's looking like it's just going to be a 4th place position if we can get around GT Max. So we're kind of shaping him up here and kind of seeing if we can do the same overtaking maneuver that we did on the Nissan the lap prior. And so we're just following him right behind as he gets very loose on the exit, gets a little bit of wheel spin, and that's going to kill his momentum here as we're going to stay in the slipstream and see if we can go onto the inside of him. So going down the straight, we got a really great run, and he decided to defend the inside. He's 100% was going to do that all day, so we just go onto the outside, see if we can outbrake him heading to turn number 1. But going into turn number 1, the Nissan decides to sit on the inside, goes for a very late move, takes it 3 wide, and actually bumps out us and the Hyundai of GT Max, and we both lose out there as the Nissan was able to just barge his way through, get that 4th place position. And you can see that this is not a good position for us now, as we only have about a 75% of the lap left on this race. And now I'm just pushing as hard as I can to try to get it around GT Max so we can catch back up to that Nissan. But in doing so, it's going to be very difficult as we're just all over the rear bumper heading into the right corner of turn number 6. And so we try to make a move onto the inside, but GT Max decides to defend the inside, and we kind of had nowhere to go. And we just had to patiently just follow in line and see if we can try to shape him up for an overtake going into this right-hander here, as that can be a good overtaking spot. But we just have to be close enough, and unfortunately we were not close enough to do anything there. I tried to go for the inside, but he just had it covered the entire time. So it's going to be a dash basically to the finish. If we can get a great exit right here, we can probably get a good straight line speed and get around GT Max. But parked it on the apex, we had nowhere to go, ran to the back of his bumper, and that is basically game over for us. So in battle for 4th, actually a car up ahead got disconnected right on this final corner, and that actually bumped all of us up by a position. So we would have finished in 6th place, but we actually finished in 4th or 5th place. And if we would have been able to get around GT Max without that Nissan bumping both of us out and actually finish in 4th, we would have been promoted up into 3rd place, and we actually would have been able to come home with the podium. So it was a little bit frustrated because of that, because that would have been our first podium on our very first race, and that would have been an amazing way to start off the season, especially because it's only, I believe, a 6-race season, and on top of that, we are competing against adventure racing. So the Ferrari was a handful around this track, and especially because it was so reliant on tire wear and tire strategy. But it did its job, we did our job, and at least we were able to come home with a decent finish, although I really wish we could have come home with the podium. But oh well, maybe one of these races coming up, we can get it back onto the podium, maybe even a win, but we'll have to wait and see. But let me know what you guys thought about this race. Comment that down below, and if you guys really enjoyed this video, which I hope you guys did, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out the channel when you guys do so. And if you guys want to support me on Twitter, Instagram, or even on Discord, all those links are in the description down below. And once again, guys, since you guys made it all the way to the end of the video, I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you guys did, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.